Hey Mixers, with the start of the NBA season, I thought it would be a good time to jump in and explain my free promo data that you always have access to. I hand collect all of the promos from all of the different apps because I got so sick of taking them and having them, like not work. And so I wanted to see if some apps were giving out bad promos, and it turns out they were. This data has been super useful for me. It just takes, I don't know, 1 minute to check on the player for the promo when the promo drops, because I know a lot of apps like to drop their promos late in the day. So I'm going to jump in and show you how that works. Okay, guys, so right here, we're going to start on my X page. You can also get to this through my YouTube profile. There's just a link for the promo data. You just click on it, and it is going to open up a page here, which I've zoomed in so that you can see it a little bit better, hopefully. I have some general notes here at the top of like how to use this data, but if you just want to take a look at it with me, I put the NBA on top, NFL on bottom. So this is the data from this season, the NFL 2025 season, the NBA 2025 season. We've only had a couple of promos, so those are the hit rates there. If you scroll over to the right, you'll be able to see the previous season for that same sport. So if you go all the way down here, we'll have college football, baseball, hockey, and then over here are college basketball, which we have not had any promos for college basketball this year yet, and then WNBA, which is over. So I just put those in the bottom left-hand corner. But if you want to take a look, obviously the NBA data is a little incomplete right now, but the NFL data, we have a lot of promos that have come in. So if we look at this, we'll see, wow, Prizepicks has given out 10 NFL promos this year, and 90% of those have hit. That is a good hit rate. So if you want to look at the over hit rates, you kind of want to be in the green. So you want to be 70% or above. The yellow is not too bad, but it's not great. And then anything below that, like orange or red, you do not want to be taking those promos. The exception here would be like with the Sleeper 2X and the Chalkboard 2X. These are regular lines that they're just giving you a boosted payout on. And these you want to be around 54%. But in fact, like on these Sleeper 2X promos, if you fade it, if you bet under on it, 60% of the time that's going to work for you. So that's interesting. 58% on the Chalkboard 2X. So that is definitely some interesting data. And then on the middles right here, the middles, you want this to be over 20%. So for instance, 50% is fantastic, but we've only had 10 promos so far. But that means 5 of those 10 promos have hit right in the middle. So you could have bet the promo and then took under on the regular player prop, and that would have hit for you 50% of the time on Prizepicks. But most likely you'll see this closer down here to the like 15%. 10 to 20% is more likely. If you want to take the risk on those, you can, but the data's here for you, so you can decide what you want to do there. Obviously, you can see Prizepicks and Sleeper are the best apps for NFL promos this year. Same with Parlay Play. The worst one is going to be Betr, and that is typical, by the way. If you look at last year, Prizepicks and Sleeper were the best ones, along with Parlay Play, and Betr was by far the worst one. So that is consistent from year to year so far. All right, let's dive into the details. So at the bottom of the page here, there are pages here. NBA 2025 promo detail, NBA 2024. We'll look at that in a minute. MLB, NFL, etc. So let me show you what that looks like. Let's go into the NBA. And for right now, obviously, there's only been a couple of promos. So over here on the left are the players. So we've only had promos on Kevin Durant and Luka Doncic so far. And so Kevin Durant has had 3 promos because the 3 different apps gave out promos on him. And Luka has had 2 because 2 different apps gave out promos on him. And they hit those promos. So right now it's 100%. So obviously this data is a little hard to go off of, which is why I have last year's data. So let's go into last year. So last year, the player who had the most promos by far was Shea. He had 50 promos and he hit 39 of those, which is 78%. So he hit at a pretty good rate. We could Google, like, for example, we have a promo on, I think we have a promo on Giannis today. So if we look at Giannis, we can just Control F, search for Giannis. He's right there at the top, so he was easy to find. He had 17 promos last year and hit 13 of those promos, so 76% hit rate. That's pretty good. So this is how you can check on the promo. And then you can go over here to the right and check what kind of promo is it. So is it a points promo? Is it a PRA promo? It looks like the PRA was the best hit rate. Points, points and rebounds were the next best. The worst hit rate was the points and rebounds together, like point rebound promos. And then RA promos were the absolute worst. But it looks like there was only one of those. Oh, two of those that I recorded. Now, this data is a little bit incomplete because I only started doing this like maybe week 10 of the NFL season. So it's not complete data, but it is at least something better than nothing to go off of. And this year's data will be, very complete because I've been doing this since March or, maybe earlier. And so this year's data will be super complete. So Sleeper just dropped a bunch of promos. So let's do a couple more examples here. Let's take a look at the Sleeper promos that they dropped, because I took some of them, but I didn't take all of them. Let's see. So I took Cam Tom. No, those aren't it. These aren't updated. Hold on. Give me a moment here. Okay, yeah, I did. I took Trae Young, I took DeMar DeRozan, and I took Lauri Markkanen. So let's look at Trae. So let's go back to the promos, and let's look for Trae Young. There he is right there. So Trae Young, he had 10 promos last year. He hit 7 of those 10 promos. 70% hit rate, that's pretty good. We go over here, it is a points promo, so that was 64%. Decent hit rate there. And then if you go back to the first page, you can see, and that app was Sleeper. So if you go to the last year's NBA data, Sleeper hit almost a 70% rate on their promos. So all of that is saying that that was a pretty good promo for me to bet on. Let's check out DeMar DeRozan as well. These are the ones I chose to bet on, so they're probably going to have decent hit rates, but you never know because I did not check this data. Now, this is a great example because there's 2 instances of DeMar DeRozan here. This happens a lot because sometimes if I accidentally put a space bar at the end of the name, then it creates a new player because it doesn't register it as the same player. So I'm going to need to go in and fix this. But they're right next to each other, so we can look at it. So one of them has 3, one of them has 1. So there were 4 DeMar DeRozan promos last year, and 2 of them hit. So he only hit 50% of his promos last year. Not a great hit rate, obviously. But I just think he's in a good spot, and obviously Domantas Sabonis is not playing. So that's why I went in on that one. And then Lauri, I think, only had 1 promo because I did check on that. Oh, nope. I don't see any promos for him last year. So Lauri didn't have any promos. I'm from Utah. I'm a Jazz fan. And that, unfortunately that sucks for me. But yeah, I just decided to take Lauri. He's been over this line against the Clippers, I think every single time that he played them last year. So I just took it. But yeah, that is how you're going to use this data to decide if a promo is good to bet on. And this data is actually super helpful. It might not seem like it, but there are certain players that are just really bad at hitting their promos. For instance, like Anthony Edwards right here. He had 27 promos. He only hit like half of them. So he's not a good player to bet on when he is a promo. Let's look at Jalen Brunson because he is one of the worst. Yep. Let's see. Let me make sure that's the only Jalen Brunson. Yep, that is the only Jalen Brunson. So right here, he had 17 promos. He only cashed 47% of them. In fact, if you had faded every Jalen Brunson promo, like if you had bet under on the regular line, that would have worked 70% of the time. That's insane. Same here for Anthony Davis. Really bad hit rate on his promos. Luka had a really bad hit rate on his promos last year. Obviously, he was on the Mavs and then on the Lakers, and I don't have that split up. I don't have a way to do that. But yeah, I also wanted to show you what this looks like from my side of things. So on my side of things, I can go in here because I have all this data. I just don't have a way to give it to you in a clean way. So this is what it looks like on my side. And I can go in and be like, okay, so it looks like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 50 promos. He hit 39 of them. But if I press this plus button, then it will expand and it will show me, all right, on Betr, he had 8 points promos and he hit 6 of those. So if Betr gives a points promo on Shai, that's going to be pretty good. he hit 3 out of 3 on his PRA promos on the Betr app. So you can look at these by app. Well, you can't. I can. I just didn't have a way to cleanly give you this data because someone is going to hit all these plus mark buttons and then just leave this page looking absolutely trashy. So if you're interested in any of this detailed data, you can send me a message, a direct message, or leave a comment saying, hey, can I get more data on this guy and his promos? Then I'll respond to you and give you that data. I'm happy to give it to you. I'm collecting it anyways. It has been very useful for me. And so I'm happy to let you guys have that as well. Another one thing to look at are the middle percentages. So it looks like Steph Curry right here, he had 7 promos. 57% of those, over half of his promos hit in the middle. So you could bet the promo and fade the regular line, bam, and you're going to cash twice. So that's insane. 57% is absolutely insane. Anything over 20% is pretty good. Like, 1 in 5 chance to hit the middle. But this is like pretty much you are going to hit the middle. 1 out of every 2 times, like every other time, you're going to hit the middle on Steph Curry. This one's 75% for Donovan Mitchell, but he only had 4 promos. So he had 4 promos, and 3 of those 4 promos hit in the middle. So that's crazy. That's why I use this data, so that I don't be taking promos that are really terrible and just wasting some money. And I know when the promos are good to bet both sides of that line. So let me know if you have any questions about any of this. Hopefully this helps some of you guys. I just wanted to throw it out there since the NBA season is just starting. And there's going to be a lot of promos, and we don't want to just be blindly taking those. All right, thanks, guys.